So RecyClass is a technical initiative working under the umbrella of Plastic Recycler Europe and was kicked off by recyclers some years ago. First to start on working on recyclability and packaging, but now the scope of the RecyClass was extended also to recycled content and any plastic products, as as the objective of RecyClass is really to achieve circularity for plastic products. So it's really important to have these two approaches, recyclability and recycled content. And therefore, to summarize the activities of RecyClass, as you can see on the slide, we have these two main pillars, recyclability, recycled content, with a set of guidance that we offer to the plastic industry. And for recyclability, that will be our main focus today. We have the testing protocols, the design for recycling guidelines, a methodology to assess plastic packaging recyclability, the online tool, and the recyclability certifications. So this I will explain you later on, but also on recycled content, we developed a calculation to evaluate the recycled plastic use in any product, plastic product, and the associated recycled plastic traceability certification. So this is really to close the loop. And to go along with the certifications that we have, we developed as well logos and use of claim guidance document to create a level playing field on claims in Europe, and to give right recommendation to the certified company on how to claim both recyclability and recycled content, which we believe it's really key, especially for the consumer, for the B2C communication. And that said, to continue on the RecyClass introduction, we strongly believe that recycling is only possible if the entire plastic value chain is involved in this discussion, so to have all the stakeholders around the table. And this is the reason why in RecyClass we have from the raw material producer to the recyclers, because we need to find a consensus and common solution to develop and to improve the circularity of the plastic product. And as you can see on these slides, all the members and the supporters of RecyClass that are involved in developing all the documents I showed you, I talked to you about before, so the protocols, the guidelines, and so on. So the raw material producer, the brands, the converters. And also, in order to have everyone involved, we also are open to supporters, because they have some expertise to bring also to the technical discussion. And first of all, before going into the RecyClass methodology itself, I would like to start by two definitions that are the main rationale behind all the documents that we are developing. And first of all is the circularity definition. It's the word I already used several times in my presentation, but it's really understand what we mean behind that. And circularity for us is a closed loop application or open cascade loop application, meaning film to films or bottle to bottles. And in any case, the preferred scenario is packaging to packaging applications. And on that, we endorsed the Ellen MacArthur Foundation on the circularity. And the second definition is the recyclability, which is, of course, one of the key points in RecyClass. And this is exactly the same definition as you have seen on Monday during the presentation of CSIRPAC by Vincent Moij. So there is 4 requirements to claim a product recyclable. So first, the product must be collected. It must be sorted into a mono material stream. The packaging must be reprocessed, recycled with the most commonly used infrastructure that we have today in Europe. And the last but not least, of course, the recycled plastic must be reused in new product. So the quality of the recyclate must be high enough to be reusable in high value applications. If one of these points is missing, you cannot claim the recyclability of the packaging. And based on that, we developed all our guidance in RecyClass, and we have 3 different levels in RecyClass. The first level is the recyclability evaluation protocols, because without protocols, you cannot develop a reliable guidelines for the design guidelines. So this is the key point that we have in RecyClass, and this is under the responsibility of all our members to develop and maintain these recyclability evaluation protocols, one per type of packaging. And the goal of this protocol is to compare the behavior of one innovative packaging versus a control material, and to compare the properties. And then based on this lab result, these findings, we developed the design for recycling guidelines that are also available online publicly, that you can find on the website. And in there, we really want to have this fact-based approach to recommend how to design plastic packaging. And with this guideline, you can, of course, assess the overall recyclability of a packaging. So the main body, any attachment, decoration, all these kind of features. And to make it more user-friendly, we developed a free online tool to allow you to self-assess the recyclability of your packaging based on these guidelines. So you need to answer a series of questions, and then you will have results and also recommendation on how to improve the packaging design. But of course, the self-assessment is not enough to claim the recyclability of your packaging. So the last step is the recyclability certification, with delivered by recognized certification bodies. And in this case, you will be able to use the RecyClass logo to claim the recyclability of your packaging and so on. So this is really the different steps on how to evaluate and then claim the recyclability of your packaging with RecyClass. This is, let's say, the methodology that we are using for recyclability. And if I go into the detail, more specifically for the testing protocols, so we have first of all, the recyclability evaluation protocol, so the full complete one that aims to reproduce at lab scale what will happen in the industrial recycling lines. We have one protocol per type of packaging, flexible, rigid, and per type of polymer. For the protocol on PET bottles and tray, we are working in collaboration with EPBP, Petcore Europe, and EPTP. And for the PS protocol, this is under development by the technical committee for polystyrene in RecyClass, but will be also published soon. Then, of course, apart from the recyclability, the sorting behavior is key, because without the sortability, without the correct sortability of the packaging, never it can be recycled. So we developed the sorting protocol for plastic packaging that was published last week on the RecyClass website. And this sorting protocol should be performed at industrial scale, so in real sorting lines, and can be used for any type of plastic packaging. This really aims to have a standardized approach in terms of evaluating the sortability of the sortability behavior of packaging in Europe. And the last one, the last type of testing protocol that we are developing are the quick test procedures. And here the idea is to give the possibility to the plastic industry to test specific features of the packaging, and to then in the development phase really test if the new solution they are developing will be compatible with recycling. And specifically the one that we already published are for the washability of the film labels and paper labels, to see if indeed the adhesive will get removed during the washing step during the recycling process. And we are working on additional quick test procedures, such as the bleeding inks quick test procedure, to assess that the inks used to decorate the packaging will not bleed during the recycling process. This is important because this is typically features that you can find on the RecyClass guidelines, but without protocol, it's hard to assess that it will comply with the guidelines. So this is the purpose of these quick test procedures that also can be used by the auditors during the audit to assess that the packaging complies indeed with the design for recycling guidelines. And as you can see here on the graph that illustrates all the steps that the RecyClass protocol cover. So from the compaction with the sorting protocol to the NIR detection, because it's really important to understand that the NIR detection alone is not enough to assess the sorting behavior of the packaging. There might be several issues before the NIR detection. So we need to cover all these steps. And then the recycling process that is covered by the recyclability evaluation protocol. And additionally, also to that, on the plastic granulates, we have also converting step to assess that the recyclate can be indeed reused in bottle application, in films application, and others. So basically with RecyClass, you can assess everything you can see on the screen in terms of waste management steps. And then, as I said, and this is really important, all this testing are generating data that are then evaluated by the RecyClass members to update any guidance, and specifically the design for recycling guidelines. So these guidelines are living documents and are updated time to time, 2 to 3 times per year. Because of course we don't have all the knowledge today, and we need to make tests in order to complete this guidance and to cover most of the packaging features. So it is really important to understand that any innovative packaging should be tested, and any company can contact RecyClass to make tests and to generate data on that. And then of course the guidelines will be updated accordingly. In terms of guidelines, we have 8 types of guidelines that correspond to the different types of plastic packaging and polymers. We covered the PET bottles, trays, but then also the polyolefin rigid, polyolefin flexible, the PS containers, and also crates and pallets. For the polyolefin, for the guidelines, we also have, of course, declination between colored and natural stream. And in total, it's 14 guidelines that you can find on the RecyClass website. And the principle, it's quite easy. There is 3 levels of compatibility. The yes, full compatibility is the preferred design, the best in class that you can do when designing your plastic packaging. Then you have the limited compatibility, which is a second choice, still compatible with recycling, but with some conditions on how to use it. And then, of course, the red column, no compatibility. And in this case, you should not have any features reported in red in your packaging. And then to make this guideline more user-friendly, and also as presented before with the new tool for Israel, the idea is also exactly the same on the RecyClass online tool for Europe. So the idea is really to rank the recyclability of your plastic packaging, and the system behind is considering the RecyClass methodology, and we will evaluate according to the type of packaging. You have a series of questions to understand the different features that you have in your packaging, the critical points that may jeopardize the recyclability of the packaging will be highlighted. And also one of the key features that we added recently is a European mapping of the different waste management system that exist, meaning if the collection is available, the sorting and the recycling infrastructure as well, per type of packaging. So you have this map to really understand where you will be able to claim the recyclability of your packaging. And of course, how to use it is really easy. You just need to go on the RecyClass website. The online tool is for free, and then you will make the analysis and receive the report directly. So feel free to use the tool to understand how it works. And as technical support, the RecyClass team is always here to answer your questions. So feel free to reach me or my colleagues to have some support on the use of the online tool. And then let's go into the detail with the RecyClass methodology itself. And first of all, it's really important to understand that recyclability is not black or white. So we have these recyclability classes from A to F. A, B, and C means recyclable for RecyClass, and recyclable means that the quality of the recyclate is high enough to be reused in high value applications, so packaging to packaging. So even if with class C, it's already a really good result. And we have 5 main steps. First, of course, to check that there is an existing recycling stream in Europe and that the packaging can be sorted. Then the second is the recyclable plastic content, to really have the highest amount of recyclable plastic in the packaging. Then we will check the design incompatibilities that are exactly linked to the design for recycling guidelines. Then the easy to empty, easy to access index. In this case, we will check the residual content in the packaging after the use phase by the consumer. And then, of course, the last, to check that the packaging will comply with REACH. It's an important point for the recyclers, of course. And then going step by step, to give you an overview, the sortability is linked, of course, to the sorting protocol. You can see on the right the methodology diagram. You can see all the steps that it covers. And the idea is really to have this standardized approach at industrial scale for all Europe, and to make it mandatory for specific packaging design, because in case of some features that are well known, we observed that the sortability of the packaging can be jeopardized. For example, if we talk about carbon black color to decorate the packaging, in this case, there is good chances that the NIR detection will not work. So there is some packaging design that we listed that required a sorting test if they want to be assessed as recyclable. And this sorting protocol also includes the sample preparation procedure, so the compaction, contamination, and so on, to really simulate what will happen in reality. And this includes as well the result interpretation, then how to understand the impact on the certification scheme based on the sorting efficiency I will obtain with this testing. The second is the packaging composition. And here, as I told you, it's linked to the recyclable plastic proportion in your packaging, because the first in design for recycling is always to design mono-material packaging. And it's the first design for recycling requirement if we want to increase the recycling rates. So the higher the content of the main polymer is, the higher the recyclability rate will be. So if you have more than 95% PE, for example, you will start with class A, which is the best in class. But if you have a lower amount of PE, then you will start with a lower class already. So with a class B, class C, even if before applying any design for recycling compatibilities, this will be like the maximal classes with the one you can start. And then, of course, based on this first prerequisite, we will move to the design for recycling compatibilities with the guidelines. And then in this case, we will apply further penalty if your packaging is designed with orange or red features. And basically, if you have a features in orange, you will lose 1 class. If you have a feature in red, you will lose 3 classes. Or even you will be disqualified because some of the features reported in red are basically disqualifying your packaging. We are talking about PVDC, additives that increase the density higher than 1 for polyolefin, all this kind of thing that will jeopardize the recyclability of the packaging and will make it unrecyclable at all. So this is how we are evaluating the recyclability with these 2 steps level. And then the other penalty that you can receive as well, and that you need to work on when designing your packaging, is the easy to empty, easy to access index. In this case, what we are looking for is really design that are easily, that the consumer can easily empty, and to really have the lowest residual content as possible in the packaging. Because of course, if there is a lot of residual content in the packaging, it will mean an extra effort for the recycler to clean the packaging, and extra water treatment then for them to clean the water. So we really want also to to kind of promote the design that allows the consumer to empty and to access entirely the product. And if not, of course, there will be some penalization in the RecyClass methodology. And this is mainly for viscous liquids such as cream, gel, and so on. In this case, it's mandatory to calculate and to make some trials on this index. And this is also something you can self-assess on the RecyClass online tool. The tool is covering all these steps. And then, of course, with this methodology, we have the Reseclability certification that is based on that. And we have 2 levels of assessment. The first is the design for recycling assessment. And maybe also one key point on that, the Reseclability certification is for final packaging only, because any feature that you can add on the packaging can change the recyclability behavior. So it's important to understand that only final packaging as pledged on the market are eligible for the recyclability certification. So we have the design for recycling assessment first that is valid for all Europe. This is a qualitative one, really similar to the RecyClass online tool with the class ranking from A to F. And it's based on the European sorting and recycling infrastructures, the most commonly used today. And it's really linked to the technical feasibility of the packaging to be sorted and recycled. And then, of course, if you want to go one step further with claiming the recyclability on pack, to use the logo and so on, you need to check country specific, what is the waste management system in place, and if the packaging can be effectively sorted and recycled. So in this case, we have the recyclability rate assessment, which is a quantitative one, and this one is country specific. So the auditor will check in your countries of interest where the packaging is effectively collected, sorted, and recycled. And then, of course, apart from this country-specific check, the sortability and the recyclability behavior compatibility will be assessed exactly like for the design for recycling assessment. Let's say that the recyclability rate is more complete with one additional check on the country specificities. And the formula behind the recyclability rate assessment is also available on all the methodologies available publicly on the RecyClass website. What has been developed following the 4 points of the recyclability definition, actually. So the collection, sortability, recyclability, and then the end market, so the possibility to replace virgin plastic in new products. So you will have these 4 parts, and then you will start with 100%, and then going through the different series of questions, your packaging will probably lose some point, and then at the end you will have your final recyclability rate. These both certifications can be delivered by recognized certification bodies that decided to harmonize with RecyClass the design for recycling guidelines, but also the recyclability methodology, because I did not insist on this point, but one of the key aspects of RecyClass is the harmonization through Europe. So it's really important to have one common methodology to assess recyclability, and therefore to have reliable certificates and claim around recyclability. And so far, we are working with 11 certification bodies that are covering good part of European countries, but we are looking to extend to cover all the European countries. You can find the detailed list and contact online as well. And so they are accredited by RecyClass to deliver you this certificate that you can find on the right. And with this certificate, then you will be able to use the RecyClass logo and to claim the packaging recyclable. And my last slide for today is really the result and the benefits of the recyclability certification delivered by RecyClass. The first, the design for recycling assessment, apart the fact that you will have your class ranking from A to F, this document is really important for the packaging that today are not widely collected, sorted, and recycled. For example, if we talk about PP films, PET trays, and this is a document that proves that as brands, as plastic industry, you have done your part of the job, and the packaging is well designed to be recycled. With this assessment, you can still claim the recyclability for B2C communication, but you cannot use the logo on pack. You can only make like external communication, such as videos, website, and so on, because in there you have the place to explain what does it mean designed for recycling. And also it's a useful document for the EPR schemes, for example, to explain that the packaging is recyclable, but today there is something missing in the waste management system that prevent the recyclability of your packaging. And then, of course, the last one, the recyclability rate assessment. You have this quantitative certification, and in there you will be able to use the RecyClass logo on pack for all the countries where you have been certified. So the RecyClass logos that we developed with different variations for your packaging, and you will have a service of claim that is allowed. Everything in terms of communication is defined with in the use of claims guidance document and the logo use guidelines that you will also receive from the auditors once certified. And one last point that is not covered here, but also to highlight this point, because as the recyclability certification is for final packaging only, this is mainly for brands and retailers that are effectively pledging final packaging into the market. But for the converters and any other actors in the value chain, what we developed is a letter of compatibility as well that allows the assessment of semi-finished packaging in this case, and that this will be a B2B communication. So to demonstrate from the converters to the brands, for example, that the technology and the packaging developed by the converters is recyclable at this stage. We are talking here about an intermediate result, but then it's up to the brands or the next actor in the value chain to continue the good job that the converters was doing in terms of decoration, adding the cap, or any missing features in the packaging. So the certification bodies in RecyClass can also deliver this letter of compatibility. And the letter of compatibility follows exactly the same methodology, the same steps as the Reseclability certification and the RecyClass online tool. So the first step basically to understand the RecyClass methodology is to go on the RecyClass online tool and to test, to run some simulation on packaging. And then, of course, you will have a deepest explanation in the RecyClass methodology document itself. But I would suggest you to go first on the online tool to see how easily you can self-assess the recyclability of your packaging. And that will be it for my side, on my side today. I really invite you to contact us if you have any follow-up question.